Welcome to the Sunday Chronicles podcast, the smartest, most mentally stimulating podcast on the internet. As always, I'm your host, Michael, and I'm here with your co-host, Miguel.
What's up, everybody?
Damn, I think this is the latest we've ever recorded, and this is the longest we've ever gone without recording.
Yeah.
This episode we're recording on March 31st. On March 31st, and it's gonna be posted. What the fuck would that be? The 3rd or 4th? April 3rd or 4th. I can't count.
3rd, I think.
The 3rd of April. We're posting this. We're recording this March 31st. It's going to be posted on April 3rd, that's the closest we've ever cut it before. We've been kind of slacking on all this, but but anyways, dude, on the way over here, because it's the end of the month, so obviously, cops are just lurking to give out tickets.
Oh, they're hungry for tickets.
Dude, I was coming down. What was I coming down? I was coming down Addison, passing a hospital, and there was a cop, stopped off onto the side, and I was the last car in like a string of cars that were going, right? So I'm looking back in my rear view, and after I pass him, again, I'm the last car in those string of cars, he pulls in, and he pulls in real slow. So he waits till I get far enough away to like pull up. So I'm watching him the whole time, and I already know what this is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's following me, but like there's distance in between. So like he's definitely just taking down my plate, right?
Right.
And so my head,
running your plate and all
yeah.
that.
And so in my head, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, I know it's the end of the month. He's just looking for any reason to give me a ticket. And then as I'm realizing this, I'm like, yo, where the fuck is my wallet? Don't have my wallet.
Dude.
So my license, don't have it on me. I'm like, God damn. And then again, as I was getting close to here, because I had to go pick up food, as I was getting close to here, another cop doing sketchy shit. He turns, I forgot what street I'm on Belmont over here, near here. I'm going. This dude turns a left, hits a U-turn on a residential street to come back like behind me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, bro, there's no fucking way.
Dude, all they see is Ultima, and they're like...
Yo, I'm not even doing shit, bro.
For context, you have an Ultima, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they see the Ultima, and they're like, oh, this guy's a troublemaker. We gotta get him.
Yeah, bro. And I mean, I didn't get stopped, but like, dude, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like they were just looking for any fucking reason to stop me. Yeah. And he hit that U-turn right as I was hitting a stop sign. So I saw him, slammed on the fucking brakes. You best believe I counted those 3 fucking seconds on that stop. Because I was like, hey, no fucking way. I was like, I don't have my license. If this dude stops me, he's just going to try to fuck me over, bro.
You're a citizen model driver today.
No, yeah, fuck that shit, bro.
No,
but
yeah.
damn.
On your way home too, you gotta be careful with that. They're gonna be lurking out, ready to give a ticket for any reason. Yeah,
because this is late. For context, it's 10 p.m., which isn't like crazy late, but it's pretty late. I mean, this is the latest we've ever recorded. But look, it's like I said, it's been a while since we recorded, and there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. This is old news now, but for anyone who follows the MMA community, if you follow the MMA community, then you probably know, and if not, then if you don't, that's cool. But I just want to talk about it because it's a pretty funny story. So Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington had a fight recently. They're they fight in the welterweight division in the UFC. They weren't fighting for a championship. It was just kind of like a grudge match because they used to be friends, and now they like hate each other or whatever. And so basically they fought, and this dude Colby Covington just smashed around this dude Jorge Masvidal for 25 minutes, just beat him, right? And then in pretty dominant fashion. I mean, he won basically every round. Yeah. I mean, some people might disagree, but from what I watched, he won basically every single round. He was just dominating him on the ground. Anyways, later on, this was maybe like a week or a couple of days after the fight, it turns out that this dude Jorge Masvidal got arrested because an unnamed victim, they didn't want to release the victim's name, had been attacked by Jorge Masvidal. In the beginning, they had given out that it was Colby Covington that had obviously called the cops on this dude, but then they took that off the record. So people were posting articles and saying that, oh yeah, this dude Jorge Masvidal just ran up on some random and like sucker punched them on the street. And then obviously people ended up finding out that it was this dude Colby Covington and shit, right?
Wait, he ran up on Colby Covington?
Yeah, after the fight. This is like a couple days, like a week after the fight. He runs up on this dude and he sucker punches him.
I saw the thing that Jorge Masvidal got arrested, but I didn't see that it was Colby Covington that he sucker punched.
it was Colby Covington that he sucker punched. And he sucker punched him, quote unquote. The reason why he sucker punched him was because he was talking about his kids, which he wasn't talking about his kids. What he had said, because I do remember this, was Colby Covington had said the Jorge Masvidal was a deadbeat dad. And I guess he feels some type of way about that, right? But the funny part about it is it's just like, you had 25 minutes to beat the fuck out of this dude. You had 25 minutes to do whatever it is that you wanted to do. He got smashed and dominated for 25 minutes and then decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to find him on the street and fucking sucker punch him. And he was like with other people too, right?
Yeah.
I was like, bruh. And so now this dude's fucking arrested. I don't know. I would imagine this dude's probably going to press charges on him. I'm actually not sure what ended up happening of this situation. Like I said, this is kind of old news now. This has now been like a week or two ago now that this happened. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. And another thing that I want to talk about. Did you see the shit that happened in the Oscars?
Oh, yeah.
You did see it, right?
Yeah, Will Smith.
I'm pretty sure that everybody fucking saw it. It was fucking everywhere. What was your take on it? Because I thought that shit was fake as fuck. Like, the way I saw it to begin with, it looked fake as fuck. Like, it looked Pornhub acting. You know what I mean?
All I saw was Will Smith just fucking slapping Chris Rock, right?
Yeah, you didn't see the context for it, did you?
I didn't. All I saw was the slap.
All right, well, basically the context was, I'm pretty sure most people do know, but if you don't, then here's basically the context. So, obviously Chris Rock was, I'm not sure he was hosting, whatever, but Chris Rock was up and he was kind of talking, cracking jokes, right, whatever. He was entertaining at the Oscars, and he made a joke about Jada Smith, obviously Will Smith's wife, because she has I forgot exactly what it is that it's called, but she has a kind of like a thing. She's losing hair basically, so she shaved her head into a buzz cut because she's losing hair. It's like it's a condition, but I forgot what it's called. Anyways, so he basically makes a G.I. Jane joke. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's basically an older movie, and the main character G.I. Jane is a chick with a fucking like a buzz cut or whatever, right? And there were some other people saying that there was a hidden jab behind that, but I don't know. Point is, he had made this joke about her having this fucking bald head or whatever, right? He was cracking jokes on fucking everybody. And Will Smith had laughed at the joke. Yeah. When he cracked the joke, this dude was like laughing and shit, right? And then obviously Jada Smith felt some type of way about that. So I guess he looks at her and then he gets up and he like smacks the fuck out of him, right? And then he walks back to his fucking seat. And then, Jesus, I'm moving this fucking mic. So he walks back to his fucking seat and then he's yelling now at fucking Chris Rock, telling him to keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. The whole time I'm thinking, I mean, this is going to be very toxic what I'm about to say, but it's like, you're out here smacking fucking Chris Rock, but you didn't smack the motherfucker that was fucking your wife. Yeah. So I was like, oh, brother. Huh. I don't know. In the beginning, it looked super, super fake to me, right? But then people were just continuing with the narrative that it's real, right? Everybody's talking about it, and nobody's like, I mean, I saw like a couple of people saying that it looked like fake as fuck, right? Because it looks fake as fuck. Like, he smacks him, and I'm pretty sure when he smacks him, he turns around and he's, like, laughing. So I was like, what the fuck? Will Smith is laughing? Yeah, in the clip where he walks up and smacks Chris Rock, he turns around, and he looks like he's laughing. So I was like, what the fuck? So, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, this looks staged as fuck, dude. But I don't know. Whatever. It might be real.
It's Hollywood. You never really know with Hollywood if it's staged or not. These dudes are actors.
Yeah, exactly. Because people were, like, trying to microanalyze like the clips and being like, look at so and so's face, but it's like, dude, this is literally, they're all professional superstar actors. Like, what the fuck?
There's a
like,
reason.
Obviously,
there's a reason they're sitting at the front row of the
so
Oscars.
It's like people basically trying to say like, look, I get both sides of it, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe it was real because everybody just kind of, the narrative is just continuing that it is real. But people that were basically trying to say like, oh, look at the reactions, they're professional fucking actors. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be hard at all for them to fucking fake it. Everybody there, especially the people that were in the front, are superstar fucking actors, phenomenal actors. So I was just like, whatever, man. But that whole fucking situation is weird and fucking funny. But I don't know. I guess it is what it is. But fucking, let's just move on to something else. Cause
when I first saw that, actually, I thought it was gonna be a meme thing, kind of. Did you saw that Tesla that jumped it was a big Tesla. It wasn't a big Tesla. It jumped a big hill in California, basically.
Oh, I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be something like that, where it went viral for a few days and then dies down. But
it's still kind of going. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still seeing memes going on.
Yeah, it hasn't been something that is just like, oh, it happened, and then 2 days later, it's no. There's like still fucking memes on about it. There's still people talking about it. I think. I totally just said that like we were gonna move on, but I'll just finish with this last bit. I think if it actually is real, it's very sad to see, right? Because obviously, I think it's just, again, I don't know, like everybody's saying different things, and everybody's trying to like microanalyze the situation and trying to diagnose Will Smith or whatever, saying that he's this, he's that, whatever. I'm just saying from a standpoint, if that was real, that's kind of sad to see, because after the fact, they had said that he was like crying or some shit like that, or he was like shedding tears because he felt bad because he had gone and smacked him. Yeah. I don't know, man. Clearly, Will Smith is going through some shit, right? Yeah. His fucking wife cheated on him, entanglement, all that shit. I'm telling you, I don't know, bro. This was just he's going through it, man. Yeah. Because this guy's just been getting fucking. Everybody's fucking talking shit on this guy left and right. But well, let's actually move on to something else, because I was actually reading up some articles and watching some shit on a topic that we have already talked about. We talked about this in the first episode. Mm-hmm. NFTs, everybody's favorite non-fungible tokens. I mean, I don't need to explain what an NFT is. If you don't know what an NFT is, I'm not going to explain to it here. Please just watch another video. You should already know what an NFT is, a non-fungible token.
It was really hype on the internet for like 2 months.
Shit, for a while, yeah. I mean, it was all that the internet could fucking talk about. NFTs, and all the money, but we'll get into that right now. So give me 1 second here.
I think so.
Yeah, like a week ago. So I've been holding on to because usually when we talk about a topic, I obviously don't want to go in completely blind. So I usually do my research, and I have this notepad that I always carry around with me, and I'll jot notes, when I'm watching shit and researching, reading, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'll jot all these things down in this thing that I'm looking at right now. And so, yeah, I'm just going to try to go off of it and give my argument. It's not even an argument, but share this information cohesively. So basically, because one of the biggest sites where people buy and sell NFTs is OpenSea. Pretty sure. Have you heard of it?
Think so.
Well, basically,
I probably have heard of it.
This website named OpenSea is one of like the biggest places where people buy and sell NFTs, and they recently had reported that something like 80% of NFTs were like scams, were like fraudulent things, right? Which is, again, that's not like, I mean, a lot of people do know this, but for the people that don't, it's like, dude, that's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's like for a lot of people that are just going into it or believing that they're gonna get fucking rich off of this shit, it's like, dude, 80% of that shit is fraud. Not only, another thing is that apparently they're horrible for the environment, because the amount of power that it takes to like store or kind of like render or create NFTs is like enough to like power like apartment buildings. I forgot exactly what it is. That sounded really, really bad, but I forgot exactly what it was. But there's an insane amount of power that is needed for these NFTs, so it's super bad for the environment. Right. A second one.
Isn't crypto crypto mining? Would that also be bad for the environment?
Oh yeah, it's horrible
because of how much power it uses.
It's horrible for the fucking environment because it's just pulling so much power. And again, where's that shit coming from?
So is that why I've seen videos of like police raiding like crypto mining farms just because like
could be
illegal crypto mining farms? So probably.
I think it's more just for the illegal aspect of it, but just because I mean, I don't necessarily know if they can come and take your shit down because it's bad for the environment. I'm pretty sure in most of those cases it's like because it's they're committing a legitimate crime. Okay. So I guess that's kind of what it is. I didn't even like preface why I was gonna be talking about this, but because we had talked about it in our first thing, we talked about it in our first episode, kind of our thoughts on it, and this whole idea came from because I was talking with somebody and they were talking about like NFTs and how like they need to get into NFTs or whatever because that's like the new big thing and they're gonna get rich and all this fucking shit. But the reality is like it's really not. I mean, I found it similar when I went to, because recently I went to a sneaker convention here in it wasn't here in Chicago. It was out in like Romeoville, and it's like, dude, there's like no deals because it's like you can't come up if everybody's trying to come up. You know what I mean? Right. Like nobody's running a play because everybody's trying to come up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like, I feel like it comes down and people say it's the same shit with this. And a lot of them are like being, here, let me fucking get into that. Another thing that I found pretty funny too, is like, there's been a lot of companies that have been trying to push NFTs, like they've created NFTs and they're trying to kind of push their NFT projects. And there's been like an insane media fucking backlash.
Wait, like
one example is Ubisoft. Ubisoft, the game developing company, they've really been trying to push these NFTs that they've created. And they're really just on social media trying to get people to buy their NFTs, right? And and people, and on the internet, I mean Twitter specifically, because again, Twitter's not a real place. But anyways, but there's just been an insane amount of media backlash to the point where a lot of companies they're pulling out and they're like, we don't want to do NFTs anymore because it's just they see that the backlash is crazy.
Dude, I swear, like a month ago, I was seeing all these like big companies. They're like, "Oh, we're moving into NFTs, the new move, the new wave."
No, yeah, a lot of companies were trying to get into that very recently, and now I feel like all of it kind of quieted down. A lot of companies backed out, or they just went silent about it, because again, there was just like this huge media backlash, which I think is kind of wrong too. But at the same time, it's like I kind of get where those people are coming from. But I just found it interesting because I mean, I feel like it's just a great example of how, I mean, just together, united as a bunch of internet weirdos, they can do a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like companies are literally backing out and saying we don't want to fucking do NFTs anymore, or at least be public about it, because we're just receiving all this, fucking backlash. They're getting bullied into it. Another thing that I had read up on it, there's more sellers than buyers. So again, the likelihood is it's the same concept that I was talking about. You can't come up if everybody's trying to come up.
Right. Nobody's buying.
OpenSea's trading value dropped like 80% from February to March, and we're talking from this February to this March, it dropped by 80%. And then of course there's everybody's favorite social media mogul, Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk. Pretty sure if you're on the internet, you've heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, whatever.
Definitely.
Hard work enthusiast, NFT enthusiast. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have anything against Gary V. I think for the most part, or at least a lot of the things that he says are true, and there is a sense to what he's saying. But I think some of the shit that he says is just like, bro, what the fuck, bro? Like, this dude be talking about, he's like, he'll be like, you know what I think? Damn.
You got it right though. That's how he talks.
Anyways, I'm not even gonna try to do it. I'm just gonna sit here and embarrass myself. But anyways, he'll be talking about like, this dude will be fucking talking about, he's like, you know what I think? He's like, you know what I think is better than being born into something? Is being born into nothing. And this dude will be basically talking about it's an advantage for you to be born into absolutely nothing. Which, like, I mean, I guess. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. That, like, right. That you can do anything. But at the same time, like, don't fucking lie. Yeah. Like, if you take somebody who was born into fucking into wealth and take somebody else who's born into nothing, the likelihood is going to be easier for the person that was born into wealth to get into a business or to strive into something because they have that backing. And I'm not saying you can't do it if you weren't born into money, but I feel like some of the shit that he says is just, like, absurd. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I get where he's coming from. Like, I get what he's trying to say, but it's just like, it just sounds dumb because he just sounds like detached from reality.
The way he words it doesn't come out.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, it's like, what the fuck? It's like, and then he'll be like, again, it's a good sentiment to be a hard worker, to work hard, but like the shit that he be saying, he'll be like, he's like, yeah, man, you just gotta put your nose in the dirt and just work, 16 hours a day for 8 years straight. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, bro, who the fuck wants to live a life like that? Nobody wants to live a life like that, dude. That is just, I mean, for some people it probably is sustainable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this shit, I might just be triggering some like Gary V cult followers. Again, I don't have anything wrong with this dude. I don't have anything against this dude, but I just think that some of the shit that he's saying is just like unrealistic, dude. Like, there has to be work-life fucking balance. Like, you can be telling fucking people to work 16 hours a day for 8 years straight. Like,
you're
what
gonna
the
have
fuck?
time for anything.
Right? It's like, dude, what?
You're gonna go home, sleep, and then wake up, and it's time for work again.
Right? Like, that's his process, or that's what he's, claimed that he's done. But it's like, bro, I mean, that's just not for everybody. So for you to try to like work fucking 16 hours for 8 years fucking straight, like, it's like, bro, what the. But again, like I said, I don't necessarily have anything fucking wrong with this dude. I just think some of the shit that he says is a little wild. But back to the fucking NFT shit. The reason I brought him up was because he's an example that people with like internet clout or fame or whatever have been just with influence.
I see a lot of influencers pushing NFTs.
Yeah, because again, they can manipulate the market. And
right.
Because I watched this fucking clip from an episode of the Impulsive podcast with this dude Logan Paul, and at the time he had Mr. Beast on the podcast, and he talks about how like one night Gary V calls Mr. Beast. He calls him. He's like, "Yo, dude," he's like, "Hop in this call." he's like, I promise you, get into this call and it's gonna be the greatest decision of your life or whatever, right? So first off, my fucking impression right now is just off as fuck, so ignore me. But so this dude, Mr. Beast, gets into this call, and he says there's like 30 people in here, and they're all like, as Logan Paul describes it, heavy hitters, all people with like money and like fame, you know what I mean, influence. They're all in this thing, and this dude Gary Vee's talking about. He's like, CryptoPunks, it's the new big thing, whatever, right? I'm pretty sure some of you guys know what the CryptoPunks thing is. I probably couldn't. They're like these like little fucking 8-bit NFT things, whatever. You've probably seen them, right? But you probably just maybe don't know them by name.
They're
but
like
anyways,
avatars, right?
yeah, I mean, most of the NFTs are kind of just like avatars or whatever. And CryptoPunks is one of them. And so he's telling them, it's like, yeah, CryptoPunks is the next best thing. And so like, oh, we're all gonna buy in, all 30 of us, and that's literally. He literally shows that it's like he in and of himself is manipulating the market.
Yeah.
Like he'll use these people with influence to inflate the prices of these NFTs. They'll buy them and then they'll sell them off to somebody else. They'll buy it for a fucking ridiculous ass price. And I mean, some people probably could sell it off again for more money, but a lot of people end up getting stuck with these fucking NFTs, thinking that they were worth this much, and in reality they're not. And there's other things too where people have talked about that. There's proof where people have bought. Like, people within their circle, like if, for example, you and me, I posted an NFT, you bought it, and then I bought it from you again, and then you bought it, and then I bought it from you again to, like, inflate the price, right? To make people think that there's value for this NFT,
so is that
when in reality that there isn't as much as they're claiming that there is, or it looks like there is.
So is that, like, how they've made the prices of them soar? So, because I've seen some of them, they're, like, sold for, like, 3.1 million, like, 3.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are like, some of them have sold for crazy fucking prices. Again, I couldn't say in particular why those are selling, but again, a lot of these NFTs that have been selling, it's because they were backed by certain individuals, right? Certain people with influence. So people are like, oh, yo, if this guy, whatever, if this Gary Vee got into this, or if he's in this, then I got to get into this, right? And they're just following his lead. But like I said, more sellers than buyers. 80% of those fucking things are scams. So the likelihood is you're not going to be able to come up if everybody's going to come up. I already said this shit a million times. But again, my whole fucking tangent here on the NFTs shit is I found it interesting because I started looking to the NFTs thing again recently, and then it came to find out that, yeah, all this shit is, sign of the times. Everything is going downhill or at least it's trending downwards for NFTs right now. Again, who knows? I wish good luck. Best of luck to all those guys out here in the pump and dump trying to make quick money off of NFTs. But the unfortunate reality is not everybody can come up. So
a lot of these quick money schemes, some of them don't work. Like how there's, they're
of course
put out to be.
There's people that talk about like how NFTs are basically like pyramid schemes essentially. So you can interpret it in a million different ways. Ultimately, I'm sure there's definitely people out there that might listen to this and be like, oh, man, fuck these guys. These guys are a bunch of fucking haters. Clearly, they're a bunch of fucking losers because I'm making mad money off of NFTs. Hey, and if you are, then again, we said this in the first episode, more power to you, man. Yeah. Like, shit, I'm not, trying to take that away from you. But the reality is that the vast majority of this NFT shit, they're scams. They're just quick pump and dumps. People just trying to make quick cash.
Yeah.
So again, from a standpoint of authenticity, it's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not morally incorrect, but like again, a lot of these people are just trying to make money at other people's expense.
Right.
So again, that's my take on it.
It is morally incorrect. That's basically what they're doing.
Again, that's my take on it. And again, make your own decisions and choose what it is that you want to do.
Make smart decisions.
Make smart decisions with your money.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own research, as we always say for every single topic. Do your own research. Again, I bring up things here, and the things that I am bringing up are things that they're fact. These are all things that, I'm not just fucking pulling this shit out of my ass. But of course, with everything, do your own research. But I think at this point, it's either you're in NFTs or you're not in NFTs for the most part, right? Yeah. So again, that's I'm gonna leave you all with that, and we'll move on to this next topic. Aliens. That is our next topic.
Oh yeah.
Aliens, UFOs, all that type. Extraterrestrials, ET, unidentifiable flying objects, whatever, man. I had seen recently
The good stuff.
Well, I wanted to talk about this first, right? Because I had seen this on Instagram. It was a video of the Chichen Itza pyramids in Mexico.
Hmm.
And so basically, at one of these pyramids, it was like a tour guide or whatever, right? And he's explaining to the tourists that if you clap in front of the pyramid, that the sound will reverberate back, and it sounds exactly like a Quetzal bird,
Hmm.
which native bird at the time. And dude, it's like fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like it sounds exactly like a fucking bird from a clap, And some people would probably be like, that's a fucking scam. But like he claps multiple times and it reverberates back multiple times with that exact same distinct bird noise. And the tour guide was talking about how people from all over the country, people who study acoustics for a living, I forgot what the term is, but they've come to come study these fucking pyramids and they don't know how it is that they got it, right?
Hmm.
And so the reason why I wanted to start off with that is because there's two topics of conversation there, right?
Hmm.
It's either you believe that aliens helped them make it or aliens did make it, or you believe that ancient civilizations had some sort of like ancient hidden knowledge.
Hmm.
Again, we could talk about this shit for hours,
Right.
but for sake of a conversation for this for what we had planned for this episode, we'll talk about aliens. So, what's your take? Well, I don't really think there is like a take on aliens. I feel like almost everybody believes in aliens
Yeah.
because they've confirmed that UFOs exist, which again essentially means that aliens exist because aliens are basically just beings that aren't from Earth.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I feel like you have to believe in aliens. I mean, aliens are real.
Yeah.
That's why, because
it's not like you're like, I don't believe in aliens. I don't think they exist. It's like
Yeah.
if they've been confirmed, how do you not believe that?
in essence, aliens have been confirmed by
Multiple governments.
because of like byproducts of other things being confirmed, basically, right? Because we, of course, we had talked about this. If you guys have been watching since the beginning, that we had talked about this. That we were gonna do a cryptids video, but we're waiting to do that cryptids video when Josh can get back on the podcast. And so we were thinking about putting aliens into the cryptids video. But then I just realized, like, you had mentioned to me that we should do an aliens video, and I was like, yeah, I mean, why the fuck should we limit it to a cryptids video? Because I don't consider aliens to be cryptids. You know what I mean? Like, there's evidence of UFOs. There's no fucking evidence of Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's that distinct difference. So
There's like real footage of UFOs.
yeah, there's real footage of UFOs that has been confirmed by the U.S. government. And I'm not exactly sure if other governments have gone on record. Have they gone on record and been like, these are UFOs as well? Yeah? Okay. But yeah, there you go.
I've seen, like, I've gotten my knowledge from YouTube, watching a couple videos, and it's pilots from like Air Force pilots from all over the world, and a lot of them have a lot of stories that corroborate with each other. So basically, UFO confirmations from across the world.
I feel like the majority consensus. I feel like most people do believe in aliens for the most part. I don't really know many people who don't believe in aliens. Honestly, I feel like almost everybody believes in. I feel like most people believe in aliens, anyways. But anyways, when I was doing my research for this episode on aliens, I had come across somebody who I didn't know that this person existed. I didn't know that this person had existed before. The guy named Bob Lazar, who he's a little controversial in the things that he says. There's two. So basically, some people believe Bob Lazar and everything that he's saying, and some people think that this guy's just a fucking liar and a fraud. But anyways, I'm not gonna sit here and say whether or not right. What I'm trying to say is that this guy Bob Lazar was a physicist, and this was like back in the 80s. Yeah, and he had become kind of famous because in Los Alamos, I think it's Los Alamos, New Mexico. He ended up on the newspaper on he was like the cover of the newspaper because he had gone kind of famous for this. Basically, he put a fucking jet engine on a Honda. This is real. You can look this up. This is back in the 1980s. He basically put a fucking jet engine, like a little jet engine, on a Honda. And there's photos of it too. He used to drive it to work every day. And so somebody came and they interviewed him. So yeah, so for all you car guys out there, Bob Lazar's jet engine Honda, you can look it up. Yeah, so he straps his jet engine to his little Honda, and he would take it to work every day. And so I guess somebody had caught wind of it, and a newspaper writer had come, and they basically They basically wrote a piece on him and they put it on the cover of the fucking newspaper, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that's how people know that this dude exists, or that's what a lot of people know that he exists from.
Mm-hmm.
But he also had worked on not Area 51, but there is essentially I think it's like Area S4, which is like within Area 51, kind of like a sub building
Mm-hmm.
within Area 51. And he has multiple, like I said, he was a physicist that worked for them, for the U.S. government. And he has a lot of claims, right? He's claimed that he's seen multiple UFOs, that he has seen them in person. He's claimed that he even got in trouble once for trying to record something like that he was trying to record some of the aircraft that were there.
Mm-hmm.
And then within it, there's another character, this guy named George Knapp. This guy named George Knapp, who was he was a journalist at the time. All this was happening in like I think it was like somewhere in the 80s. I don't remember if it was the early or late 80s.
Right?
I think it was in the 80s. Yeah, it was in the 80s. All this was going on. And so this guy George Knapp was a journalist who he used to run this show. He talks about it I watched this on a podcast that he was on. And he used to run this little kind of like radio show or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one day he ended up having somebody on that I think had mentioned this guy named Bob Lazar or mentioned something like that. And so eventually George Knapp ended up becoming in contact with Bob Lazar. And they were talking about how Bob Lazar was basically he went on record with George Knapp talking about like that the UFOs were real and that like there's like UFOs there in Area S4 or all this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently, right, basically all the records of this dude Bob Lazar were disappearing. His birth certificate disappeared. There was no record that he had ever worked at Area S4.
Mm-hmm.
There was no record. His records of going to school at MIT they were gone, because again, this was back before the digital era, right? Everything was paper, so it was all just paper records. All of his records disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, people were trying to discredit him by saying that like you claim that you're this physicist that went to MIT and you worked at Area S4 and this and that, but then where's the proof?
Yeah, where's your credentials?
And again, he was saying that his things that all of the records, all of his paperwork was mysteriously disappearing, right? And that he was essentially being threatened. Like, people would come into his house when he wasn't there. They'd go into his house. They'd basically be opening doors, opening windows, just throwing shit around, and then they'd just leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing crazy, but it was basically just to spook this dude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were essentially just threatening this guy. It was, per the story, per George Knapp, that George Knapp talked to him on multiple occasions, and they're friends now. And so George Knapp can also kind of corroborate those statements that all these things were going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like they kind of got lost or left in time with all that shit. But I saw it all recently, and I found it really interesting that, again, I think it's just interesting to see that, like, nowadays it's like, well, the U.S. government just went on record and said, yeah, that these videos of UFOs, yeah, these are real. These are basically videos of unidentifiable flying objects.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, it was like super taboo, to the point where it's like people were being silenced.
Yeah.
Again, I totally forgot
Discredited
this. Yeah, people were being discredited and saying, oh, yeah, that you're a fucking liar, you're this, you're that, right? Or like, shut up if you know what's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this dude, George Knapp, the journalist, had also said that he had a woman go on record with him who also had talked about that she worked within government facilities and had seen UFOs. And then that a few days later, after she had gone on this interview with him on the radio or whatever, the two men in black suits came up to her door and basically told her, you need to shut the fuck up, basically. Or you like, whatever you're saying, like, you need to shut up. And the lady had said that they mentioned her daughter, because her daughter went to basically college, and she would come to drive out to visit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is happening in New Mexico, right? Which is the middle of fucking buttfuck nowhere.
Right.
No offense to all you people who live out in New Mexico, but I've watched Breaking Bad. There's nothing out there, man. And I'm pretty sure most people that live in New Mexico probably agree anyways. Yeah. And so, according to that woman, those guys in the black suits had said, oh, we know that your daughter goes to, such and such school, and that she drives out to visit you. And they basically told her, it's a large desert. We'd hate to see something happen to your daughter, right? So it was basically these dudes basically telling her, like, you need to shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Like, basically take everything back what you said, right?
Yeah.
And so she obviously goes and tells this dude, like, oh, I think, I don't think that's true what I was saying, right? Whatever. She took back all those statements, and it was a whole thing. And again, ultimately, it didn't end up resolving. It didn't end up in anything, right? That's all fucking now almost 40 years ago. But I just find it interesting that how times have changed, right? Back in the day, it used to be the super taboo subject. And people like Bob Lazar and this woman who I don't know if this dude George Knapp had ever said her name. But like, yeah, like they were being threatened, whether you believe it or not, right? I mean, it just kind of gets into, this can kind of get into like conspiracy theorist territory, whether you believe him or not. I mean, I don't really see why they would be lying about it. I mean, I guess I could see why they'd lie from it from a aspect of just trying to get attention, but I mean, I do believe it. I mean, I could see.
There's a lot of details in their stories that
Yeah, because
can you really like fake all these details?
Yeah, because one of the reasons why a lot of the people that believe Bob Lazar believe him is because they say that in the 40 years that this has been going on, that he's never strayed from his story. His story has always been the same.
Right.
Obviously, when somebody's lying and years go by, the story's going to change, right?
Right.
It's impossible to remember everything if you're making all that shit up.
Right.
And so for him, there's some people still to this day, because I stumbled upon when I was doing my research for it, like a Reddit post, and people were saying like, oh yeah, fuck this guy Bob Lazar, fucking guy thinks he knows everything, and he's like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. There's no record he was ever at MIT. This guy's a fraud, this and that, whatever, right?
But now anybody that talks about it is supported with evidence of UFOs. I wouldn't say necessarily alien evidence, but UFOs definitely.
Yeah.
But you could basically.
I mean, I think when it comes to that, if UFOs exist, aliens have to exist, right?
I mean,
because then where the fuck are these things coming from?
Because if you look at the videos, like the technology that's being used in them is like, it's out of this world. There's nothing here on Earth that could probably support the technology that they're using to fly these crafts. Because there's videos of that the U.S. government released, and it's basically just Air Force pilots. Like these crafts come up on radar. They send these jets out, take a look what it is to intercept it basically, and it's just these crafts hovering above the water, like really really low to the water, just hovering above it, and then these crafts like shoot up at speeds, like crazy speeds, that like they're not. There's nothing on this planet that can.
Right, nothing here that we have that can shoot out of the water that quickly, right?
Yeah, and
that's a whole nother topic, actually. Not to interrupt you there. There's a whole discussion that some people believe that aliens are underwater, and the whole like basis behind that claim that aliens are coming from underwater is because, at least from what NASA has reported, that they've been up into space and they haven't seen any. Per them, that they haven't seen any activity of aliens. But we do know that UFOs are here, lurking. So then where the fuck are they coming from, right? So that's why some people believe that, well, if they're not coming from space, because we've been to space, we've explored more of space than we have the ocean on our planet, then maybe they are coming from the ocean. Yeah, I mean, because there's depths that we just can't reach.
Right.
And, unfortunately, there's just technological limitations. There's just too much pressure down below. Anybody who'd try to go down there would get fucking crushed.
Right.
So there's just so much in the ocean that we just have no idea what the fuck is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All sorts of probably animals and even probably new plant species under the water that we would never know or even exist right now.
I mean, like you said, there could even be a civilization hiding down there, and we wouldn't.
Atlantis. Jesus Christ.
Man. And we wouldn't even know it, because these crafts, in the videos that if you watch them on,
do you know what they're called? Like, you want to plug them so people can watch them?
Honestly, really, all you have to just look up is like, I fell down the rabbit hole, the YouTube rabbit hole. I was like watching UFO confirmed
the
video.
YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's probably all the time that we're probably gonna have for this episode. But let's give a quick recap, as we always do for these episodes. We started off, Jorge Masvidal. What the fuck, man? You had 25 minutes to beat this dude's ass. You didn't do it in those fucking 25 minutes. So you had to sneak up on this fucking dude and sucker punch him. Yeah. Will Smith, dude's having a fucking mental breakdown. If it was real. And if it wasn't real, then, man, whatever, right? Nft'S, are trending downwards.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's just what it is. NFTs are trending downwards. Gary Vaynerchuk is manipulating the NFT market, and he has some pretty wild beliefs and opinions on what you should be doing to reach success.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens, Bob Lazar, George Knapp, Jet Engine Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own research.
All,
Watch these
all
videos on
interesting
the
topics that you should
Yeah,
really look up.
all
honestly.
interesting topics. Like I said, we're running out of time for now. We have to wrap this episode up.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I think the only thing that we didn't really touch on that we did want to touch on a little more would have been the alien things. But there's only so much that we can really talk about. So I would recommend, if you guys are interested, to look up these videos on YouTube, because there's a lot of stuff coming out now that the U.S. government has to release these
Maybe
this footage of these UFOs. So I would recommend they watch these small snippets of videos. They're not very long. Like I said, as always, do your own research if you're interested in these topics. And it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's all that we had. Again, we want to thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Sunday Chronicles podcast. Like, follow, subscribe, share if you enjoyed the episode on anything that you're watching on. And that was going to be all the time that we had for today. Again, thank you so much, and have a very good night.
Thank you.